Hi everyone! So in this video we're going to be talking about plants. So it's going to be photosynthesis, the life cycles of plants, how different plants grow, which can get very interesting, and we're going to be talking about different kinds of plants, such as evergreen versus deciduous, and many other kinds. Also, you can subscribe to this channel as this is part of a nonprofit organization called One World, One Nation, where we seek to give children extended learning opportunities who might not have those opportunities available to them. So subscribe and let's get into it. So what do plants need to survive? Since plants are living things, they need to get their energy from somewhere, and this is going to be through the process of photosynthesis. In photosynthesis, the plant basically needs three things to survive: sunlight, air, or specifically carbon dioxide in the air, and water. These are all things that the plant needs to make their own energy, but it can also use minerals or nutrients that are found in the soil to stay healthy. So how are the minerals getting into the soil? How are the nutrients in the soil? Well, if you remember, decomposers actually take dead organisms, they break them down into tiny little chunks, and it's all the nutrients and everything that was made up the organism is now in the soil, broken down into little parts. And so these little parts are actually nutrients and minerals that the plant uses, and it uses it to stay healthy and just continue to grow and stay strong. Here's another question. How do plants continue to grow? Where do they come from? Do plants have a mom and a dad? Well, not exactly. So then where do they come from? Well, the simple answer is seeds. But where do these seeds come from? Let's take a look at a plant life cycle to better understand all of these questions. Some plants start off with a seed, and then with water, sunlight, carbon dioxide, and nutrients from the soil, and through photosynthesis, the seed is able to grow into the small starting of a root. These roots will allow the plant to grab onto the soil, so the plant does not just get carried away or blown by the wind. The roots also give the plant access to water and nutrients, which it is able to use to continue to grow, as the roots actually carry the water up to the rest of the plant. So after some baby roots are created, the seed starts growing a stem, which grows outside of the soil. This is called the sprout, and the stem will carry water from the roots and the leaves of the plant. Also, the stem gives the plant structure. Then, once the sprout is created, little leaves begin to form, so the plant is able to carry out photosynthesis, collecting sunlight through the chlorophyll and making food for the plant, making the plant even larger. Now the plant is a pretty big plant, and some plants start to spring flowers. In these flowers are the seeds that the flower will turn into a fruit, and the seeds will be inside of this fruit, like for instance an apple. Then when the animals eat the fruit, they spit out the seeds on the floor, and then these seeds continue the process all over again, growing into a sprout and then a larger tree, getting flowers, being turned into a fruit, and having seeds inside of the fruit. So basically, the seeds come out from the flowers, which the plant creates. Also, the process which the seed starts to become a plant is called germination. So this whole cycle is germination. And as we saw, the things the plant needs for germination to occur is water, oxygen, sunlight, and a good temperature. You cannot grow a seed in the wintertime, or it's pretty hard to, because the seed is just not suited to that environment. So basically, when the seed germinates, the outer layer of the seed softens, and some roots emerge, and then once you have enough nutrients absorbed, the seed is able to grow upwards, and the stem shoots through the soil, and once it's done, we start to see some leaves on the plant. And now you might be thinking, some plants just don't have flowers, so where do the seeds of these plants come from? So non-flowering plants basically grow by other means. For instance, if you've ever seen the back of a fern or even a couple of whole leaves of a fern, you might notice tiny little brown dots. Well, these are actually the seeds of a fern, and they're called spores. Basically, these are tiny structures that the fern makes, and they fall off of the fern and grow into more little ferns, and eventually into a larger fern, but there are a couple of steps in between all of that. There are also plants such as pine trees or conifers, and these seeds, the seeds of these trees, are basically stored in the cones of the conifer. And these cones basically protect the seeds stored inside of them through the harsh winters, and they slide the snow off of the seeds and make sure that the seeds are protected so that they can continue to grow other pine trees. Also, do you know how potatoes grow? Some plants grow from parts of the original plant, and the potatoes are one of these. Potatoes basically grow from the eyes of the potato, or those little sproutlings that you see on the potato. And so they're basically just reproducing themselves, by themselves. Another example of this is an onion, which can grow from a bulb. So if you cut an onion and plant it in the right conditions, it will just grow another onion by itself. Okay, so now we have talked about the different parts of a plant and how the plant continues to reproduce and grow. So we are going to move into different types of plants. So we already discussed a little bit about the non-flowering plants and flowering plants. But how else are plants different? You might say that some plants are smaller while some other are larger, or some plants grow vines and are skinny, while some plants like trees are really hard and strong. Or some plants grow completely different, like carrots that grow in the ground and is just one long root, while apple trees have many different roots, and they also grow high into the air. Also, plants like cacti can live in extremely hot temperatures because they store water in their stem, while other plants like palm trees might need to be in not as hot, but they can be in warmer air, or evergreen trees can survive in the really cold air. You might also say that some plants shed their leaves in the fall, while, like evergreens, they stay green throughout the whole winter. The plants whose leaves fall in the autumn are called deciduous plants. And they basically they don't have enough energy to provide for all of their leaves, so they have to lose them in the fall, and they go through a stage called a dormant stage, or basically kind of in hibernation but for plants. And then in the springtime, they are able to sprout their leaves once again, once they get the energy from the sun and the temperature starts to fall within the range it needs. So all of these plants, they are all different in their own ways, and this is kind of like what we talked about with ecosystems, and how ecosystems basically rely on both non-living and living things, and the living things, such as these plants, depend on the non-living things, such as the temperature. And so this is one aspect of an ecosystem. So that was it for this video. Okay. So that was it for this video. Here are a couple of citations I used for the pictures for this video. And again, please subscribe and support this nonprofit organization. Thank you. And here are the last bit of citations for the pictures of this video. Thanks for watching.